All right.
Wait, where did I just post that?
Okay, we are live.
Okay.
Okay, we are live.
All right. I put some links out in the Telegram forums.
All right, and I'm going to do the same. I'm going to pin it quickly. Let's see.
Okay. That'll give people a moment to dial in. Good morning, everyone. We'll just take a few moments. We're getting set up. We know it takes a moment to get the link to show up in YouTube for the live, and it's showing on my end. Are we going to go to the gallery view? Okay, I'm seeing gallery view.
Yes.
There it goes. Nice.
Huawei, hello. Jax, hello. Alexander, hello. Rusty, how are you? How's everyone doing? Okay. Hi from Denmark, Hans. How are you? How are you? Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for tuning in. We're going to start in...
Hey, Rusty Bike. How you doing, buddy?
30 seconds. I'm doing great, Huawei. Doing great. Doing great.
Hi, everyone. Thanks for joining.
Yes. Robert, hello from Slovenia. How are you doing, Robert? Calvin, how are you doing, Calvin? Craig? Jax?
Running out of space. All right, I'm connected. We're good.
Okay.
Okay, ready when you are, sir.
All right, okay. So, welcome everyone to the Cardano Effect podcast, episode 45. The purpose of this podcast is to take high-level developer information and projects that are occurring within the Cardano space and break them down into bite-sized, consumable pieces of information for everyday use. I'm your host, Philippe, and let's get this podcast started. So it's Rick and myself today as the host of the Cardano Effect podcast. And for those who are new to the podcast, this is our weekly recap series. So the purpose of this series is we go live on YouTube, we answer questions from YouTube comments, and we review the news that happened within Cardano for the past week. Whether or not the news cycle is dry or there were a lot of things that happened, we're going to try to continue doing this. We've been getting good feedback. So these are our live weekly episodes. We can't get guests on every single episode, but believe us that Rick and I are reaching out to a lot of people, and hopefully we're going to bring in some special guests soon. We have some things in the works, but we do not announce our guests prior to them coming on the Cardano Effect podcast. This way, if they decline, they feel like they can continue living their crypto lives without getting harassed or anything. We run a professional program here, and we're going to try to get the best content for you. So I hope everyone is doing well. Thanks for joining us on a Saturday afternoon. We really appreciate it. Or Saturday evening, Saturday morning, wherever you are located on this planet. We appreciate you. We really do. If you're not subscribed to the Cardano Effect podcast, please consider subscribing. Our sub count is growing, and we want to try to syndicate this and get this to as many people as possible. And for all those people, we continue to do the intro for every episode. We do the intro just because there are people joining us for the first time this episode. So they need to know what is going on within this episode. And if we just continue without giving an introduction, it's going to be difficult for the newcomers to grasp what's going on. We don't want them to start from episode 1. If they want to, they can. But if they want to join us on episode 45, that's the point of this. So before we start, none of what we say is financial advice. Please remember, you are your best financial advisor. And if you don't think you are, you need to find someone who's qualified to do so. So without further ado, Rick, how you doing? How's everything? I heard that you're back from Hawaii, and what's going on?
Yeah. Hey, thanks, Philippe, and good morning. Yeah, back from Hawaii, just in time for Hurricane Dorian to pass. It just barely touched Virginia, barely touched down there in Florida, right?
Yes.
But my thoughts and prayers go out to the people of Bermuda, where it was very devastating, and the Carolinas, where there was some pretty significant destruction there also. But it's headed back out to sea to hurricane season around here, and we passed this one, got away in Virginia. But so just wanted to pass that along. I want to give a shout out to our sponsors, IOHK. Thank you for sponsoring this podcast. We very much appreciate it. I want to remind the viewers This podcast is available on Google Play Music, Spotify, iTunes, iHeartRadio, and all casting apps available. I also want to give a shout out to our Reddit mods. Thank you all very much for all the hard work you do. It helps make this program possible by giving us an excellent platform from which to work. And Reddit mods, Cardano John, Maki Mukai, Public Mod Logs, which is I think a bot account, and there's others. Andreas, Andy Hendricks, who goes by, Yeji, Southrai, Katsumoto, and Ventus Subhuman. Thank you all for keeping up the Cardano Reddit. We have over 75,000 participants. You can look up at adattainment.com. Tommy has a stat counter there showing the growth of the Cardano ecosystem. So Cardano continues to grow. And thank you to the Reddit mods who are helping with that process. Very much appreciated. So that's all I have for that, Philippe, for getting us up and running. We do have we have some other episodes coming out. We recently tweeted out from the Cardano Effect Twitter account. We're looking for hackers who know how to attack systems. And we're hoping to have 2 episodes. The general idea of having the hacker episodes, one of them is, how can a hacker attack a user's computer, cell phone, wallet, relay nodes, stake pool nodes? How would they attack it, and how do you prevent it? So we want to do it in a responsible manner. So how would you prevent that? And that will help our users understand how to defend themselves against attackers and how to properly prepare their computers for operating the Cardano ecosystem, which is a pretty solid ecosystem. So that's one. The other is people who are blockchain savvy with how would you attack a proof of stake system? That would be a separate episode. For example, how would you conduct a 51% attack? How would you conduct the bribery attacks? How would you conduct social engineering against someone? And basically, with the Ouroboros protocol, how would you attack the Ouroboros protocol? And how would you defend against it? That's the idea. And is it even attackable? We don't, there's plenty to be discussed on those 2 different types of episodes. So we plan on bringing people on for that. We have the tweet out there. If you know people who might be interested, please let us know. Contact us at thecardanoeffect@gmail.com. So Philippe, are you ready to get onto the Reddit?
Yes, definitely. Looking forward to those episodes, by the way. I think they will be good. So
we're on, so we're on the Cardano Reddit, sorted by top this week, which is dynamic. It changes every week. Did you want to start us off?
Yes, but quickly before we start off, we usually talk about the price. So the crypto markets have just been stagnating for the past like month. It seems just like it's staying within the same range. We're at like 4.5 cents for ADA, and it doesn't seem, it goes up a little bit, goes down a little bit, but no new price history news. I don't know if you interpret the charts any differently than me, but it's been pretty stagnant for the past couple of weeks to a month, just oscillating between a range.
It is the only correct call I've ever made on crypto. But about a month ago, Umed Saidov, who was on one of our episodes, asked me on Twitter, what do you think is going to happen with the market? And I don't know. I said, I don't know, up or down. I think it'll go sideways for 3 months. It'll be pretty boring 3 months, like watching paint dry.
Yes.
It's the only time I've ever been right. Unfortunately. That's not good for the traders. Traders like to see it go up or down. It doesn't matter as long as it's going one way or the other.
Yes.
For hodlers, 3 months is nothing.
Yes. But it's testing people's patience because it's been almost 2 years. So people's patience are definitely tested. These are the dry months where people just lose belief in the project completely. They remove their savings, and in 6 months, we're looking at a whole different price range, whether that's up or down. But yeah, we'll see. We'll see.
Right now, a lot of the top cryptos are about as stable as the stock market.
Yeah.
My 401k this week has been red, green by 1.5% either way. Yeah. And so I'm like, well, okay. Yeah. Yeah, but ADA's this morning on the one day, ADA was one of the green ones. Most of them are red. ADA was green.
Yeah.
That's like, oh, wow, that feels great. But when you look under the hood, it's like, oh, they all suck right now.
Yeah, they all suck. They all suck. I see a comment from Sem saying, I invest in stock market and it makes more sense. I mean, you could get more gains if you are experienced in the stock market. There's definitely room for growth. And these past few months, this past year or past 2 years, you probably could make more money in the stock market than shorting cryptos and doing crypto trading. So yeah, more power to you.
Yeah, it is good advice. I split the balance, stock and crypto. I don't go all in on one or the other. I got it split among many different types to balance the risk. So that's probably what a professional would say, but I'm not a pro.
Yeah.
On that. So,
okay.
Yeah. All right. So our Reddit, let's get on to that. I know we've so many minutes in.
All right.
Our first one this has been really popular. Charles AMA. First top Reddit post this week is Charles making his claim on his AMA. We have a really good post by Reddit user Word1 Word2 from 6 days ago. And Philippe, I think this one's worthy of reading the whole post. It's very well written. Are you good with me doing that?
That's fine.
Okay. So Word1 Word2 says, I'm not a fanboy, but this AMA fascinated me. I have not seen the one remarkable feature in this short hour mentioned anywhere, so I will try to highlight it. So this person highlights it. We also have another Reddit post that does a summary, which is really good. So this person says, I didn't expect much. I just wanted to know what the announcement was. But after a while of watching Charles AMA, I felt like someone must have felt who heard the then still unknown Anton Bruckner improvise on the organ in St. Florian, or a soldier hearing the speech of Henry V before the Battle of Agincourt. And obviously well-spirited Charles talked himself into a groove which led him to elaborating fervently on his motives, his vision, his fight, his hopes, and some of his fears. In short, Charles is showing a lot of Charles. And I liked it a lot. It left me believing that Charles has the right stuff. The stuff people are made of who left their mark in science and society. Wanting something they have never seen before. Being able to have a vision. And even more importantly, being able to convey that vision to the people around them. This doesn't mean that Cardano will be a success, but I think the possibility is there. Charles' stature in the crypto world is second to none. If he can overcome the difficulties, if he can learn not to take a troll's blabbering to his heart, and most importantly, if the math checks out, Cardano will not only be something to benefit its investors, but a lot of people in this tumbling rock, even the ones who never heard of it and never cared. Can't wait to see this future. Very well written post. Thank you, Word1 Any comments on that? I'll check the comments section. That's basically, this viewer sees Charles as inspirational. And I think that was very well written. Sees him as inspirational. And everyone has a few things that they could improve on. And apparently they want Charles to improve on his ability to not respond to trolls. I have a different opinion. That's okay.
Yes. I think this was very well written. I think this is an accurate statement. And Charles's AMAs are all unique. Not one doesn't mirror the next, and he definitely has a lot of personality and vigor that he brings to each AMA, and it's interesting to see. It's very interesting to see, and it's like it's one of the only projects in the crypto sphere where the CEO comes out and does an AMA, and it provides so much guidance of where the project is going. It's a very unique approach. I don't see that in other cryptocurrency ecosystems where the CEO is just out there and just basically giving the long-term vision, short, medium, and long-term vision of the project, which is refreshing.
Yeah, and also including the current updates and statuses, which we have a couple of posts on that with the most recent updates in Cardano, and his frequent AMAs keeps the Cardano community well informed. So we got a very well informed community, very enthusiastic, and great to have a visionary at the top who's providing all this information. And I know Charles doesn't like to create the cult of personality. He believes it's counterproductive. It's okay to say, man, I really like Charles because he draws people in. One of the Reddit users, your best mate, Robbo, says, you come for the Charles, you stay for the project. I totally agree. That's exactly where I'm at. His first whiteboard video got me in, and then I read up on it, and I stayed for the project. All right.
Yes. I'm looking at the comments. We have a comment from Craig Fisher saying 49 watching. Wow, 0 people really interested in ADA. It's unsettling considering I've been purchasing since late 2017 and hodling. Really hope we can get some mass adoption with the Bluetooth moment. Well, 49 is not 0, it's 49, and it's 59 now. But once again, this is the Cardano effect. If Charles was doing an AMA right now, I'm sure it would be 10 times the number of people watching. This is just Rick and myself doing a live stream episode that we announced 5-10 minutes ago before we go live. So just to talk with the viewers, that's it.
We
That's it.
appreciate every one of you.
Yes, we do. We do. We do appreciate it. We're having fun.
449 or 400. I'm happy. Thank you.
Exactly. LGBino, how are you doing? Um, Andreas said that my future savings account will be ADA 100%. And at 71 years young, it will be my only savings. Okay.
That's a fair, I mean, that's a strategy. At least it's a strategy.
Yeah,
It's a
it's a
strategy.
strategy. It's a
Yeah.
strategy.
Max Littenberger says in his AMA, he mentioned privacy is something that would be implemented eventually. Can we add privacy to the important topics after the attack defense strategies? Yes, that would be Ouroboros Crypsinus. So we need to do an episode on Ouroboros Crypsinus. Sound good? Thank you for that comment, Max Littenberger.
Privacy is
Max
extremely
Littenberger,
important.
appreciate it.
Yes.
Ouroboros Crypsinus. I believe who did that? Did Carlos do a video on that? If you haven't seen Carlos's YouTube video, go check that out. He's got some Ouroboros stuff that makes it nice and easy.
We have a comment from also Into the Abyss that says, what about the disrespect to the community, calling them kids and swearing in the last AMA? What do you guys think of it? I mean, you know, you could take it two ways. You know, some people, I think that Charles has been consistent with that behavior since his first AMA. It's not like he's changed up whatsoever. He's always been like this, whether you follow him on Twitter or just seeing him on YouTube. He's always attacked problems. If a troll comes, he's going to engage the troll. He's always been like that. And some people look at it as a fallacy. Other people are entertained by it. Me, you know, I that's not my strategy whatsoever, but it's worked up until then. It's garnered interest into the project. People see Charles as this unique figure, and part of it, they tune in because they want to see him engage with the community and they want to see what's going on. So I don't know. What are your thoughts, Rick?
I'm okay with him saying hi, kids. I think it's funny. I get a kick out of it. That's his character. I had a guy yesterday went to the auto repair shop and I was waiting over in the seat and he said, "Hey kids, we're ready for you." And me and my daughter walked over there and we're like, all right, that's funny. It reminded me of Charles, and he had red hair and a beard too. So I'm okay with that. And if he wants to attack trolls, fine. I don't want to change Charles. I don't want him to change. He got us this far. If he wants to call out the trolls, go for it. You want to say howdy kids? Go for it. I don't care. Doesn't bother me. But it does bother some people, so it's fair. It's a fair that if you say, "Oh, I don't like that," oh, it's okay. It's better. At least he's not dancing on stage or something like that, like some other leaders.
Vitalik.
I didn't know any names, man. I love Vitalik. I didn't, and I admire his ability to get on stage and draw people in. He's really good at it.
Yes, no, I tip
and
my
he's
hat off
even
to
willing
Vitalik.
to try to sing. I honor him for that.
Yeah.
Go for it, brother.
Yeah.
You go, Vitalik. Fortunately, Charles he'll just get a really good band or something like that. Who knows? All right, so that was it for the questions so far. We good? Charles
Yes,
is a real deal. Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
Right.
Let us go to the next post, and the next post.
Yeah, there was one good question in there we'll touch on real quick. When do you think big companies will use the blockchain? That was from Arjun DeVries. Thank you, Arjun, for that. Some big companies are. I think of Libra. The Libra Foundation engages Facebook and they push forward with that. And legislation in the countries are more permissive. Big companies will use it. The basic thing I learned from Caitlin Long in our episode with her was countries should give crypto the same laws as fiat. In general, that's not quoting her. That's in general what I got from that. And say, if you use this law to regulate fiat, use that law to regulate crypto. If this is the law to protect fiat, use that law to protect crypto. And if you just do that, all is good. I mean, at least it should be anyway. It's worth a try. So
yes,
I think that's when big companies will. So I apologize, Philippe.
The products have to be built as well. So we need to make sure, especially for Cardano, we need to make sure smart contracts are out, staking is out, in order to even solicit services from big companies. Right now, no big company is going to build a product on any blockchain that isn't complete or it doesn't provide them any type of solution. So, I mean, there's a reason why there are certain blockchain companies that are really building partnerships and they're getting certain use cases from particular companies, is because they have a platform to build and create their products, whether that be Ethereum. There are plenty. I mean, companies are using Hyperledger, which is not a cryptocurrency, but it's a blockchain to build products. So once we get to that point, then we're going to get to that stage where it's viable to build products on top of. So.
Yeah, it's too easy to plug into Visa and MasterCard right now. If it's really hard to plug into crypto and it's real easy to plug into a Visa server, well, they're going to use Visa.
Exactly.
Yeah.
All
right, you want to cover the next Reddit?
Yes, sounds good. So the next Reddit is from Andreas. So it's taking the next step on the road to Cardano Shelley, and it's a blog post. And I'm not sure who the author of the blog post was. I believe it was Nicolas Di Prima, and they were talking about the stages of what's going to happen within the next few months. So if you didn't follow Charles's last AMA, the testnet will be out this year. The incentivized testnet will be out this year. We're going to get more details September 28th. So we'll understand exactly what does this mean, incentivized testnet, whether it's incentivized for all stakeholders or just staking pools. I don't think this has been clarified. Well, at least I'm not 100% clear of what's going to happen there. But it's going to be a rollout where the incentivized testnet will be released this year, and the goal is ADA will be credited when it hits mainnet, from what my understanding is. I don't know if you wanted to add anything to that, but we should be hearing more in a couple of weeks.
Yeah, Nicolas Aqueros sent out a tweet. It was a follow-up to Nicolas Di Prima's article. Nicolas Aqueros is from Emergo, and Nicolas Di Prima is from IOHK. And Nicolas Aqueros says, Cardano Shelley Testnet 2 networking is coming up soon. I think we'll see it by the end of September. Cardano Shelley Testnet 3 rewards will fork out of the mainnet, and all the rewards will be eventually credited back to mainnet. Okay, so he summarized that post there in general. There's also another Reddit thread, we'll touch on that again, where one of our community members did an outstanding summary down below. But yeah, the general idea, there's a little confusion last week. We touched on in last week's episode about what that meant to get real staking rewards. How do you get a real staking reward on a test net? And it looks like the general idea is to clone the main net into the test net, run the process, and when it's done, bring those rewards out to the main net.
Yes.
That'll be interesting to see. I have absolutely no idea how that works.
Yes. It should be interesting.
There's a lot of smart people out there, so I'll just I'll push the I believe button.
Yes. So let me see any comments. We have Into the Abyss. We have said that, what about Shelley that he promised that will be out this year? Shelley mainnet was promised this year, or he will eat his shoe. Now he has changed that. It's Shelley testnet. So yes, the incentivized testnet will be released this year. The shoe eating deal, I don't know how written in stone that was, but I don't know what to say about that.
Has it changed? I did not see that. I missed it. I don't know that it's changed. As far as I know, Shelley's still coming out this year.
Well, I mean, I guess the user's talking about the word semantics, whether it's testnet being released or mainnet being released, and mainnet was promised and testnet is going to be released. So I don't know.
If it's not on mainnet, if it's on testnet and functioning and it's still under testing, I'll just help them eat the boot. Send me a piece of the boot. I'll help you. I'll help you out. Okay. Maybe we can divide it up. Yeah, can I get the shoelace? No, I'm just kidding. I just don't want the wooden sole. Let's see. Was there any others in there?
We have Craig Fisher. Are either of you guys using ADA Lite on the Ledger Nano S or X? I like the Daedalus and can't seem to figure out why I would change because I'm comfortable with it. I agree. I like Daedalus. I'm not familiar with ADA Lite, so I have never used it. Rick, I don't want to speak for you, but do you have any experience with ADA Lite?
Yeah, I did it. I tested it to see how it works, and then I untested it. I used a training wallet, a training ledger seed to do it. And it's simple. So there's an interesting trade-off. I prefer Yoroi. I use Yoroi with Ledger for my HODL. I use Daedalus for smaller bits, and I use Yoroi in a mobile for smaller amounts, tradable amounts. But my HODL, I use Ledger on Yoroi, which I prefer.
Okay.
ADA Lite is much simpler. I guess it depends on your preference. Do you trust the ADA Lite server? Is it reliable? How, do you want to use a Chrome plugin? There's different things to consider.
Even though my HODL wallet, the smaller bits I put into Yoroi, I do it the reverse. My larger HODL is in Daedalus. Solely because, I mean, I would like to use Ledger support, but I've literally been invested in this project since the end of Q4 of 2017, and I was one of the first people to download the Daedalus wallet. So I just have never moved it from there. And I feel like it's more or less secure, and it's been with me since then. So, once Ledger support goes to Daedalus, I will be moving my funds onto a Ledger. But I do feel comfortable with Daedalus, and I got familiar with Daedalus early on. So it's really all about preference, And once again, you have to make sure that you're taking security into it. It should be your number one concern when you're downloading programs, and hardware wallet and paper wallets are always the way to go, in my opinion.
Yep. I'm wondering how conversion, when the hard fork shows up, will occur on Yoroi. It might be simpler than Daedalus, because I asked Sebastian about how that will occur. How do we transfer from the Daedalus DD addresses? If it has a DD, it's the legacy version of an address, which is still good. But when we hard fork, there's going to be a convert button show up on Daedalus, a big fat button, and you click it and it will parse your addresses and turn it into the new addresses. It'll be easy. It sounds easy.
Interesting.
It sounds easy. I don't know how to work on the ADA Lite thing. I don't know how that would work on ADA Lite. I guess that would be a good question for Sebastian or someone who's savvy on the tech.
Rick, I wanted to bring up something that happened recently. I mean, I think within the last week. So I saw a post on Twitter, and I was more or less following it because people were asking about the staking rewards within Cardano, and then Binance released a lending program. So there was a whole debate as to whether or not you would take the 6% rewards for lending your ADA on Binance versus the estimated around 3% rewards for staking your ADA. Depending on, of course, the number of transactions within each epoch, it could be higher than 6%, depending on how many transactions are flowing through the ecosystem. But which would you take? So I was interested to see what would your strategy be in that situation.
Okay, I would like to ask the viewers, but RJM Coin gave me a real good recommendation. He said 50% on the Binance lending program and 50% staking. Or he recommended I put that option in there, 50-50 between. And I was like, oh my gosh, that's brilliant. Yeah, that sounds like something I would do. Thanks, RJM Coin. I appreciate that. Any of the viewers, if you have comments on would you use the Binance lending program where you lend your ADA to Binance, and the annual return is 6%. The initial maturity is 14 days. So I believe that's a hold for 14 days, and you start getting small percentages, fractions of that 6%. And if you leave it in there for you get 6% back. It did fill up within 38 seconds. So once Binance launched that program, it was full in 38 seconds. I was like, whoa, what happens if they ask for ADA? Sebastian had a good point. They can only lend so much. Right?
Yes.
Or they can only allow you to lend so much ADA. They're not going to make any profit off of it. At some point, they're going to hit the point of diminishing returns, and it'll no longer be profitable to keep borrowing your ADA.
The maximum amount that you could lend was 500,000, and I think they had a cap, 500,000 ADA, and I think they had a cap of 10 million for the first lending program. So it's only a few people that were able to actually lend out their ADA. I mean, for me personally, I am a U.S. citizen, so I advocate, of course, you can use VPNs and everything like that, but I don't feel comfortable holding my funds on Daedalus, on on Binance for a long period of time, even if it promises higher returns, solely because I don't feel like the US is pro Binance whatsoever. So you could get into some kind of quandary where they lock your funds and, you know, they match your IP address and this and that. I mean, if Coinbase did a similar program, then my ears would have been a little bit more in tune. But as a US citizen, and if you max out that lending and then they hold, like say someone puts in 500,000 ADA, and then you're a US citizen and all of a sudden your IP gets pinged and that account gets pinged and you can't remove your ADA, you know, that's an issue right there. So you want to, the safety and security, I mean, if you're abroad and this is not an issue for you, go for it. But the safety and security as a US citizen, it's difficult. It's difficult. So you wouldn't want to maybe lend all your ADA or lend a lot of ADA to this program if you don't feel like you can ever pull it out. So if you're staking in Daedalus or you're staking in Yoroi, you always have control of your funds. So, you know, even though you may be getting less of a percentage, you have that security knowing that you have control, even though it may be difficult for you to cash out, but it's there in front of you. So when that opportunity presents itself, it will.
Yeah, a lot of people agree with you in the chat here as well. Not your keys, not your coins, right?
Yeah. Yes.
Someone said audio dropped. If you can hear me, let me know. Give me a thumbs up or let me know in the chat.
Okay. Sounds good.
Another person, I'm sorry, I apologize. I can't pronounce your name, but it says Binance lending is trusting the third party. Don't want to risk full on staking. Some people say they trust Binance, but I also like Argent Wallet, but who offers more, I'd go there. So there's other options in addition to Binance. Some people don't trust Binance. Some people trust Bittrex 100% more than Binance any day. Yeah, good inputs. I prefer Bittrex. I had Binance. Once they went into the US China split, I backed away and said, nope, I'm not touching that until it stables out and proves itself. I'm not going to be a proving ground.
No, not at all.
Not going to happen.
It's not even about trust, about them like stealing your funds. It's about if our relationship deteriorates over time and the US decides to block it out, you're blocked, you know, like, and especially if you created your Binance account a while ago and they come looking for those IP addresses and I don't know, they could just, if you didn't start using a VPN from the beginning, you're in trouble. You are in trouble. And there's nothing you can do about it. Nothing you can do about it. But at the end of the day, whatever the US government does, if you have Daedalus on your computer, unless some federal agent comes and kicks down your door and, you know, physically takes you to your Daedalus wallet to remove your funds, you're safe. And I guarantee you they're not going to be doing that because there's too many people with ADA. It's too distributed. It's not even worth their time. So you control your funds. You are in control regardless of what happens. So regardless if we go into some kind of, if our relationships with countries sour, that doesn't matter. Hold your funds. Hold your funds.
Yeah, and Craig Fisher says, where are you, Rick? Binance will be closed to U.S. citizens on September 12th. Who knows how long you have to leave it there until it's accessible. I agree, Craig. And there's a hard fork coming up. I would get my funds off Binance. Right now, 11% of all ADA is sitting on Binance. I think that's I'm like, get your stuff off Binance.
Yeah.
Nothing against Binance. Nothing against them.
You're playing with fire.
Binance. Good luck to you guys.
You're playing with fire. Mount Gox, I mean,
I would get it off for the hard fork. But
yes. I mean, I'm not saying that a Mount Gox thing would happen, but a freeze out is definitely possible. And what if, let me give you a scenario. What if there's some kind of fake bull run again? Like it's not necessarily a use case bull run, but it's another altcoin bull run. And we're sitting at the top. It goes all the way to the moon and your funds are locked in Binance. And, you know, your funds get released once it descends again and it decreases by 90%. You're going to be feeling bad. Like, oh, I could have exited or sold a little bit of my portfolio in order to offset some losses. And there's nowhere where you can get your funds. So take care of that. So get it off the exchange. 11% to Binance. Come on, everyone. Stop trusting these third parties. The whole thing is about autonomy.
Yeah, that's the point of crypto. You don't
Exactly.
need a centralized entity to hold it. But, it's good for
Exactly.
the traders. I got to admire the traders.
Yes.
If they want
Yes.
to make a quick swap, it's got to be sitting on that exchange.
Yes.
But I suck at trading, so I'm not even going to try that. I'll go
Yes.
to the next
Okay.
Reddit thread here. Philippe, if you want to check chat while I get us started on the next one, it's okay.
Okay.
It's Charles Hoskinson's important Shelley announcement and surprise AMA recap. This one is from Katsumoto, and it's a recap thread leading to the Cardano forum, which works similar to Reddit. If you don't have an account on the Cardano forum, I suggest getting one. It's pretty interesting. There's a lot of good threads over there. It works a little bit different than Reddit, and you can put in polls and all kinds of uploads. So the threaded discussion on Reddit is more powerful, but on the Cardano forum, the ability to add media and threads is more powerful in that respect, or more flexible in that respect. So if you don't have an account there, feel free to check that out. And Katsumoto summarized real quick video breakdown from Charles AMA. If you haven't watched it, here's the very quick recap. The network testnet will launch in the middle of September. The earliest will be September 15th. The announcement of the launch of the incentivized testnet will happen on September 28th. Okay, so there's two things: the launch of the testnet and the announcement of the incentives in September. Ouroboros Hydra will be complete in September, finalizing the Ouroboros research. There's an upcoming hackathon at the University of Wyoming on September 20th. Yay, hackathon. I wish I could go. I'm not going. Philippe, you're not going either.
Unfortunately, I'm not going.
I wish I could go, but I already have prearranged work commitments. The next bullet is the next update to Plutus will also happen in September. Cardano set out to solve the problems of crypto through first principles thinking. Yes, Cardano was built in the right way. Do the research first, build the product. Once you understand what your product is supposed to be. There's another point here. We'd like staking to be possible on the Yoroi wallet. Okay. That was one of the points brought up. We hope to see hosting on a small device like a Raspberry Pi. The biggest challenge of the last 4 years has been believing that doing the impossible was possible. And that was one of Charles's sentiments. And I think that's amazing. The biggest challenge of the last 4 years is believing doing the impossible is possible. Right. The staking on Raspberry Pi, Marcus is working on the Rock Pi. It's coming along nicely. So thank you for that, Katsumoto, for that recap. It only takes a few minutes to read. Recaps a 1 hour AMA. All right. Next one, or what'd you get from chat?
From chat, I see some price predictions, and we can go on to the next one. We'll go back to chat just because we are running towards the latter half of the podcast. So the next one is the next phase of Cardano testnet to launch in September. So this is relatively the same. I think we can jump to the next one because we talked about September 28th is the date where they're going to be giving more releases about what's going to happen with the incentivized testnet release by the end of the year.
Yeah, we have multiple high hits on Reddit because there were two super subjects last week, the AMA and the testnet launch news. So those two were very popular on Reddit.
Yes.
We go to the next one?
Yes. So the next one is a European cryptocurrency broker, Anycoin Direct, adds Cardano. And this was posted by Anycoin Direct. So this is a broker in Europe. So yeah, that's wonderful. That is wonderful. I think that I looked at, this is good news. Don't get hyped up. I mean, the more exchanges and the more places that you can buy ADA is awesome. And I looked, you can buy it directly with euros, which is awesome. I mean, there are not many places that you can buy ADA with US dollars in the States. You can use Bittrex, but the issue with Bittrex is that certain states are blocked. So if you live in those states that aren't blocked, then you're in luck. But if not, it's an issue. But Anycoin Direct, I looked at their revenue. So they're a relatively small company. I think they did around $400,000 to $500,000 in revenue last year. So it's not a lot of volume. So you can anticipate that maybe tens of thousands of dollars of orders of ADA will be placed on this exchange. Nothing to dramatically affect the price, but it's a lot of little things that add up to the big things, and we should be listed on every legitimate exchange in the world. I think that's so there are as many different conduits to get your ADA as possible.
Yeah, and that ties into the question from Craig Fisher in the chat where he says, okay, I agree with you, Philippe, but where can I sell my ADA if not on Binance, if not New Bull Run? Now, this subject that Philippe just touched on was so important. Well, it was important enough that I did some research in addition. Can I try to screen share this, Philippe? I did a sort on CoinMarketCap.
Go for it.
Okay, let me make a valiant attempt. Where did they hide this button? Okay, share. I'm going to share. Let's see how this goes. I'll just share the whole desktop. All right. So what I have here, I hope you can see that, is I went on CoinMarketCap to touch on this subject. And there were 107 trading pairs on CoinMarketCap. So what I did is I sorted because this person on Reddit posted the newest stuff. On CoinMarketCap, I did a sort by markets updated. Here are the latest markets. OceanX added 1 hour ago, added ADA 1 hour ago with $318,000 in volume. CoinFalcon, I think that was one of the ones brought up recently. And CoinNest 27 days ago. And then everything else falls under recently. So 107 different pairs. I did not count the number of exchanges. It looked like over 40 exchanges, but I don't want to put the number on it. I didn't get a count. But 107. See how there's repeats? Like 27 and 28 are the same one. Yes. Okay, so 107 pairs and multiple additions in the last 86 hours.
But those are not repeats because they're base pairs. So ADA to VET and ADA to USD Tether. So there are different ways you can cash out. I guess there's multiple for each exchange. But I mean, this person is basically asking how they can exit in the US. That's a difficult one now because there's so many, the regulations are up in the air. But you need to look at CoinMarketCap, look at the pairs that you can go from ADA to USD Tether or ADA to Bitcoin, and maybe use multiple exchanges. I don't want to give anyone financial advice, but there's something called a VPN. Make small accounts on multiple different exchanges and just hold those accounts. And you may not be able to offset big chunks, but you'll be able to maybe liquidate a little bit here, a little bit there, a little bit here, and then send it to a central exchange like Coinbase and cash out or something like that. At least that's my strategy. And once again, that's not financial advice, but it's very difficult because they're trapping US customers and they're making sure that we can't sell. It's not fun. But the thing that's going to save us is when ADA is added to Coinbase for US customers. And that's only going to come when Shelley is released, when it's proven that the federated nodes are not in control of the network anymore and the stake pools are in control and it's more decentralized. And, afterwards, they're going to have to make sure that they communicate. And I look at a lot of different crypto projects that are added into Coinbase. It has to benefit Coinbase themselves. So if you're familiar with the Coinbase Earn program, you can go and earn cryptocurrency for a particular crypto by taking quizzes. I mean, I think they have Stellar, they have Ripple, they have Stellar XRP, they have Basic Attention Token, they had DAI, I think they had EOS, and I don't know, one or two more. I'm not 100% sure, but I anticipate that something similar will happen within Cardano. So in order to be listed on Coinbase, there's going to have to be some kind of education program that allows new users to Coinbase to earn ADA for taking particular quizzes. So I think it's going to be a combination of being added to the Coinbase Earn program, so having enough ADA in the bank to give out those incentives to Coinbase users, coupled with the decentralized nature of Cardano. And only when that happens, I think we'll be added to Coinbase. Otherwise, it's not going to happen anytime soon. And that's why we need Coinbase so we can exit flawlessly without having to bypass any other exchanges, because I don't know about you, my accountant, like-kind exchanges happen. You have to report it. This is not financial advice, but that's what my accountant tells me. I'm not in the state of Wyoming, so I have not done that yet. So I try to go straight from the source back to fiat. I don't want to go through a whole bunch of Bitcoin, then Ethereum, then this, then that, then this, then that. So I don't know. Sorry for that ramble. I'll pass it over to you, Rick.
Oh, that's okay. There's a couple other people who had comments on that. Craig Fisher chimed in again as well. As when will Daedalus have Bitcoin, Ethereum, Ethereum Classic, and other crypto accessible in the wallet? If bull run, it would be nice to just convert to BTC and Daedalus, send to exchange and sell. I think that's a brilliant idea. And I also heard someone else present the idea if Daedalus can accept fiat and just conduct the exchanges in there. I think that will be a third-party add-on in the future where somebody installs that feature via smart contracts and plugins on the wallet or some mechanism to do that. Philippe, I forgot about a shout out I wanted to do earlier, and it's kind of related to this, but the Cardano Foundation on the Cardano forum is offering a $100 prize to up to 10 people who get the final questions on the Cardano forum. And what they have is there's an AMA where they need at least 3 or 4 questions for IOHK, 3 or 4 questions will go to Emergo, and 3 or 4 questions, 10 total, will go to the Cardano Foundation, who will be answering those questions in an AMA. It ends by the end of September. I need to look up the specific date. Please read the rules on that thread and look at the deadlines for posting your questions. But get your questions in on over there, because you can earn $100. It's $100 cash. It is not in ADA because the ADA payment channels are not set up yet. I'll just take, if you win, personally, I would take the $100 cash and convert it into ADA. Yay, right? Problem solved.
Go ask those questions. Go ask those questions.
Sorry I didn't get that earlier. I meant to put that at the beginning, but as long as you guys know, pass the word along. You can win $100. It's $100 to the top 10 that make the final round of question selection.
Okay.
It's on the forum.cardano.org. Check that out. Make an account if you don't have one. Okay. Looks like we're good on chat. There's a few points in there. Yes. Okay. Back over to Reddit.
Okay.
Wow. We're approaching we got about 10 minutes or so, but no, 15. Okay. Let's see. The next one was.
We talked about Charles's behavior earlier, so I think we can skip that. I mean, you take it as you, towards the beginning of the episode, we talked about him cursing someone out and his approach to delivering his AMAs. So I think we should go forward a couple, because there are a couple that I wanted to touch on.
Yeah. Yep. I think it's okay. Everyone is good for getting feedback. It's good to give people feedback. And it's also good to be yourself. Okay. Be yourself.
Yes.
Okay. So what's the next one? Go for it, Philippe.
So the next one is CoinEx list ADA, list Cardano with ADA BTC pairs and ADA BCH pairing. So Bitcoin and Bitcoin Cash. So that's wonderful all the time. As many places where you can exit as possible. That's awesome. I think we can jump to the next post, which was by Baked Potato Pig Guy. And this one was why incentive planning matters. Don't rush Shelley. And they were talking about how Bitcoin's Lightning Network is shriveling due to terrible incentives. Link to that article. So if you're not familiar, Bitcoin's Lightning Network, someone was running a Lightning node, and I don't know, they weren't breaking anywhere near even. I mean, they were just making a few dollars every year, and they were spending a lot more to keep the network up and running. So this is something very important, and I hope that IOHK does their due diligence when incentivizing stake pools to run. And this is the importance of a saturation point, but this is also the importance of keeping the incentives fair for staking pools. I don't want to see staking rewards for stake pool operators go down to zero. I'm a business guy, and I want everyone to make as much money as possible. But Stake pools should be incentivized to continue running their stake pools. This is a service that's being provided, and this is something that is going to allow users who delegate the flexibility of not worrying where their ADA is at any particular time and whether or not it's not accumulating staking rewards. So I think it is very important that stake pools are the pinnacle of how you can run a successful, profitable business within Cardano, at least the first step. I don't want to see things going down to zero or people just breaking even. I know everyone is against like third parties and making sure that the middleman doesn't make any money, but I think middlemen, there's a use for middlemen, and it's convenience. And stake pools will be providing a lot of convenience for a lot of users. And I'm not plugging anything. Of course, I'm running my stake pool, and Rick is running a stake pool as well. But it's very interesting to see how this is going to progress forward. And incentives need to be fair for everyone. So,
yeah, we got to do a stake pool operators episode. But in addition to incentives, I got to say, I read articles on Ethereum and Ethereum 2.0 coming up and Bitcoin. And it's almost like incentives weren't an afterthought. Although Ethereum does really good and are very proactive about looking at incentives and adjusting them. With Cardano, it's the reverse. Incentives are being looked at first. So as the incentive testnet comes out, OHK is going to have an incentives expert look at what's happening on the testnet with incentives and adjust accordingly. So it's being done before it goes out on the mainnet. And I'm assuming that once it is out on mainnet, there will be adjustments as you go along, as the system expands. They'll have to look at the incentives and percentages and make minor tweaks. We will have the ability for community voting to adjust those incentives. In my opinion, that is also an incentive by having community voting to determine what the incentives are.
Yes, that's wonderful. I mean, you don't know how involved you're going to be within this process, especially if you're holding your own ADA and you're delegating to a pool. And when governance comes out, you're going to be able to vote on these things using your ADA. This is not, this, like Charles was saying, this works as both a liquid democracy and a representative democracy. So you could be delegating to someone to represent your vote, or you could be doing it directly. And the combination of both is what is beautiful, because if you delegate to person A and person A has ulterior motives that you find out later, you can always remove your delegation and become your own representative. And you can always back the people that are aligned with your particular beliefs or viewpoints. And it encourages healthy dialogue, because they're going to be different sides for each issue. Different people are going to be on different sides of the scale. And this is going to make sure that everyone can exist within this ecosystem and allow for thought to propagate in a way that, if your viewpoints align with this person or with this strategy, then you're going to go with this team. If your viewpoints align with this person and this strategy, then you're going to go with this team. And at any time, you can switch teams or just create your own idea.
Yeah, and keep in mind that you will be able to delegate in two ways independently. One is you delegate your stake to a pool. The other is you can delegate your vote to an expert. If you don't want to vote on your own behalf, you can say, I agree with that expert. Like Philippe was just saying, delegate to the expert.
Yes.
So those are separate functions of Cardano, which I think is utterly amazing. Craig Fisher has another good question here. He said, what are the thoughts on the Ripple team dumping? Yeah, I've seen that news. Will the same happen to ADA when Charles IHK and others have their funds unlocked to sell? Will our community have the same response? My answer is, I doubt it, because IOHK is a profitable company. Emergo is a profitable company. They're making money by building blockchain. They probably won't, just my guess, they won't have to dump their coins to make the money. And Ripple, I had this debate on Twitter with a Ripple strong supporter. I'm okay with Ripple. I think it's a brilliant technology, but I'm just not heavily into it, because I think it's too centralized, because the Ripple Foundation, the core team, holds the majority of Ripple, and now they're dumping it. The debate I had is I said, hey, it's too centralized because of the control. And the argument was, show me the centralized servers. Okay, I'm not talking about the physical servers. I'm talking about who controls Ripple. And here it is, lo and behold, 10 months later, they're dumping it and killing the price. Oh, well.
You know,
can't say you weren't warned.
I have to play devil's advocate here because I have a slightly different viewpoint. You know, first of all, I want to analyze this word dumping, and you have to understand what project you're part of. Of course, there are a lot of like ICOs and small cryptocurrencies that the word dumping means the founding members, they're exiting as quick as possible and they're ceasing development on the project. I don't think that's the case for Ripple. I think that, you know, as a business grows, they need to sell in order to get funds in order to fund their project. And if we look at Cardano and what's going to happen in the future, I do anticipate, I made a video about this, I do anticipate that the C-suite is going to be selling. At some point, they're going to be selling. It's on you whether you're going to decide when to exit or when to do this or when to you know, take a little bit of profit. But at some point, everyone's going to be selling. There are a lot of very wealthy wallets within the Cardano ecosystem, whether that be ICO investors that hold majority of the funds. And once a price reaches a certain point, they will be dumping. And IOHK, even though they are a profitable company, even though that they create revenue and they create profit, at the end of the day, they're going to be running their own staking pools. So is Emergo, and so is the Cardano Foundation. And they're going to be amalgamating ADA over time. And that ADA will be used for business expenses and to continue further development of that project. Because what's going to happen is, as you've seen IOHK grow, different teams have materialized from this company. So there's a team Cardano, there's a team Atala, there's a team this, there's a team that, there's a team this. And the way that business balance sheet work is that the funds that should be dedicated to the Cardano project are going to exist within the Cardano project, meaning that they're going to be selling their staking rewards or their stake in order to fund development of Cardano. And they'll be using the revenue from Atala to build the Atala project, and they'll be using the revenue from this to build this project. I don't think they're going to be dipping from the Atala project to fund Cardano. I just don't think that's the case. And I mean, I could be proven wrong, but I anticipate at some point founders will be selling. That's the bottom line. And
yeah,
you know, I mean,
you know, it's good that you play devil's advocate. You got to look at multiple sides of every issue. And there's a viewer who agrees with you and says, oops, I lost track. It says, oh, and Cardano is not centralized. Well, yes, it is for now. It's federated. Also, I looked up yesterday, but the plan is it's federated, but the plan is to decentralize it. There has always been a plan in place saying, yes, it's currently federated. Here is the plan towards decentralization. It's a planning process. Like Bitcoin, at first it was centralized. Why? Well, because someone created Bitcoin and mined them on his computer. I looked up yesterday, Philippe, 46% of all ADA is in wallets that hold 10 million ADA or more.
Yeah.
That was either on adascan.net or Siza. Maybe it was on Siza. It was on one of those two that builds the graphs for you. It was adascan.net. I went through the sorting process and was like, whoa, 46%. Well, I don't know what that means. I really don't. But I was like,
yes,
you know,
and
there's a lot of whales out there.
Yes, and you have to remember the C-suite has their ADA broken down into multiple different wallets. So you see 10 million, 10, those flat numbers, when you see 10, 10, 10, 10, 10, or 3, 3, 3, 3, 3, or some very close to even numbers, it usually means that the wallet distribution, it's someone that's stacking a whole bunch of different wallets with 3 million each or 10 million each and stuff. So it usually belongs to a few people or maybe one person, and those people are going to dump. And let me let you know something. This whole idea that the blockchain distribution should be fair. Yes, in theory that works, but in actuality, it doesn't. People start the project and they should be entitled to a lion's share of a company. If you start a company and you don't have a majority interest in your company, then what's the incentive for you to continue the project, to continue the company? There should be a way that IOHK, Emergo, and the foundation, they should own a large percentage of ADA. Whether that decreases over time, that's up to them. But they need to be incentivized to work. There are a lot of people that own 0% or they own 1%. You know, why am I going to get up out of if Charles, IOHK, and Emergo, if they all owned 10 ADA, do you think they would be incentivized to come and work for the project? Absolutely not. There's no incentive. They have to have some kind of monetary incentive to stay. So they're always going to be richer than you within that Cardano project, and it's okay as long as you know that the development is continuing. So that's analogous to Ripple. They started the project, whatever distribution they have, that's fine. It's analogous to Bitcoin. Satoshi Nakamoto owns like 1 million Bitcoin. And at the end of the day, Roger Ver, Craig Wright, all these people, they own almost all the Bitcoin. And if you look at the Bitcoin rich list, you'll see the same even distribution. You'll see people that own 10,000, 10,000, 10,000, 10,000 Bitcoin. It's because rich people that got in the beginning parse their wallets, and they have many different wallets for many different situations. So it is the exact same thing. We have to make sure that we keep that in perspective. Sorry for the rant.
No, that's okay. And Cardano was very, very transparent. IOHK was very transparent. It's in the Genesis block. You can find that at cardano.org. You can look up the Genesis block.
Yes.
So,
yes.
Let's see. Anything else in the comments here? Oh, and I'm okay with them dumping. Drive the price down. I mean, not drive it down, not purposely, but go ahead and sell it. I'll buy cheaper. Yesterday, I buy on paydays. Yesterday was my buying day on Friday, and I went on to Bittrex to make a buy, and this buy kept showing up, 37,500 ADA. It just kept popping up on there. And then it would get eaten away, and then another 37.5 would pop up. And I'm like, oh, there's a bot or something. That's a lot of ADA. And I was like, all right, I'm going to wait, because whatever that bot was doing, it was driving the price down.
Okay.
So, yeah. And so I said, okay, I'm going to wait. I looked at it. I walked away, waited a couple hours, and I went back. It was still there like 10, 12, 20 minutes later. It kept popping up with 37.5 and it get eaten away. So I walked away. I came back like an hour later and got a little bit better of a deal. Not financial advice. But I was like, I don't want to fight with that bot, man. I ain't fighting a bot. I'm going to wait until that sucker dries out. I don't know what it is. I don't know how they do it.
I have a couple more. I took a couple notes on a couple of the Reddit posts that I wanted to cover, because we're at the end of our hour. I just wanted to cover this before we leave. I wanted to, maybe we can hop down a little bit. Is that okay, Rick?
Yep.
Okay, so one of the Reddit posts was about a first draft of a proposal to add metadata to transactions added on GitHub by Duncan Coutts. So there is a GitHub repository with some new data as far as adding metadata to a transaction. So what does that mean? Adding some, for example, if I send Rick 10 ADA, I could attach some data to that 10 ADA, maybe my name, my birthplace, where I traveled, just data that is going to go along with the transaction. So when the transaction received, it's like a log. It's like a little summary of what happened. So it's not just I sent 10 ADA to Rick. This is a 10 ADA for this purpose, and here's all my details, my social security number, this, that, this, and that. And what I thought was pretty interesting was the idea that, one of the things that brought me to this project was when I was first reading Why Cardano back in 2017, there was an emphasis on focusing on privacy for smart contracts and privacy for the Cardano blockchain. And I think that this is very important moving forward, because metadata needs to be obfuscated in order for companies to build solutions on top of this platform. So whatever metadata is attached to a particular transaction, I think that the company that is sending that transaction should have the option to create this dilution process where none of that information is exposed. And my information for sending 10 ADA to Rick, if someone tracks down my wallet, they couldn't track down it to me particular. Some kind of coin mixer, some ability to just completely hide the data from a third party. I think that this is very important. There was also this whole thing about there are no special fees. Duncan wrote, there are no special fees for metadata. This is justified by the fact that the cost to operators is the only is only the one-time processing costs and any long-term storage of the blockchain. There's no long-term random access state. So I don't know if I interpreted this correctly, but it seems like there's going to be a solution to charge for adding metadata to transactions. I don't know if IOHK is going to build some kind of tertiary product and sell it to businesses to add metadata to transactions, or maybe in the future when everything is delegated to stake pools can actually process that metadata within those particular transactions for a company and get paid for those pools, paid for those transactions. And who knows? I was like, a lot of thoughts were appearing in my head. What if company A, what if you delegate to stake pool A and they have a partnership with business A who is attaching metadata to that particular transaction, and all those transactions get fed to that staking pool, and ultimately those rewards maybe get parsed amongst the individuals delegating to that individual staking pool. So that would be pretty cool in the future, and it would allow stake pools to compete with each other and compete with partnerships in the future. I don't know if that's the direction they're going, but that's what I interpreted, and sorry for the rant again. I wanted to cover that.
No, I think you're right. I think that's the direction they're going. And there were also some comments in the chat directly related. We'll put the link to Duncan's GitHub post down below. Okay. And a few things that he touched on directly related to what Philippe said is the metadata within a transaction will be made available to validation scripts, including Plutus core scripts. Note again that this is only the immediate transaction being validated. No metadata from predecessor transactions is available. The way I read that, for example, is if Philippe sends me 100 ADA for the Zencastr subscription and he puts metadata that says for Zencastr subscription and I don't pay it, Philippe could be like, hey, knucklehead, pay that subscription. I sent you them there. Mm-hmm. But then I take that 100 ADA and I send it to you, the viewers, for winning a contest. I can say 100 ADA for winning contest. You won't get the metadata from the previous transaction. It'll just be located on a server. And he also says there are no special fees for metadata. This is justified by the fact that the cost to operators is only the one-time processing cost and any long-term storage of the blockchain. There is no long-term random access state. So I just got to say, I think IOHK and Cardano and Emergo, they're thinking this out ahead of time, because a lot of problems that I read other blockchains are having. They're having trouble keeping funding. Zcash just crashed on their funding. They came up with some wacky plan of how they're going to create revenues with a hard fork. And I'm like, people don't trust. They're looking at it going, what's going on over there? But Cardano has a funding system designed. Is part of the design process. It will eventually have that funding system in place for continuing development. It also has a method for storing the metadata of a transaction. How are you going to get big businesses? We had a question earlier about how are you going to get big businesses on blockchain. You're going to get them if you can account for the metadata. I cannot send and receive money from a bank unless they know my name and address, and only the bank. I don't want everybody on the planet to know my name and address because I made a transaction with a bank. So the way this metadata is laid out, I'm saying metadata wrong. This might be metadata, however you pronounce it. I'm sending that to a bank, and it's only between me and the bank can see it. And then the big businesses will start doing transactions. Does that make more? I mean, that's pretty much the idea, right?
Yes. But they're going to have to provide some kind of privacy for that metadata, and maybe it'll exist within an enclave, or I know there's the relay nodes or edge nodes, and maybe they're going to be operating in those instead of a main node. So that should be interesting moving forward. I also wanted to cover one more post from ChangeNow_IO. Cardano 2 years. Congrats, guys. You've managed to build a solid platform and strong community in only 2 years. Embrace the community and check out the activities prepared by the Cardano team. And of course, get some ADA with us. So this is a different exchange. I wanted to touch on this because I looked up IOHK recently. The IOHK website, just for stats for everyone else, it has about 150,000 monthly web visitors. So people visiting the actual website, which is a lot. And when people ask, oh, how many people are involved with the project? How many investors do you think there are? It's very difficult to understand because this is a UTXO-based model and multiple people are having multiple different wallets. But last time I checked, I went to ADA Scan and I typed in the rich list, what would my ranking be if I had one ADA in my wallet? And it was 291,000. So there's 291,000 wallets with above one ADA. And of course, there's a lot of dust wallets. So I anticipate that there's probably 150,000 to 200,000, maybe around that number of people within the Cardano ecosystem right now. It's been growing, maybe less, maybe between 100 and 150,000.
I came up with about 100,000 based off of Tommy's entertainment data.
Okay. So 100,000. So
a little over 100. So I'd say between 100 to 150,000, but well over 100,000.
Okay. And there's around 290 to 300,000 wallets out there that are just not dust. So that's very interesting. And Change Now, the company that posted that thread on Reddit, they have around 272,000 monthly web visitors. So they doubled the traffic size of IOHK, and just some reference. So, that might add a little bit of volume here and there, and everything counts. So we did 2 exchanges today that are adding ADA and are going to allow us to grow this ecosystem. That's it for me. Actually one more, but you go ahead.
We're hitting that hour marker, and we don't need to fight the clock. The clock is not our measure of performance. We're just doing that for future viewers.
Yes.
Go ahead and touch on it. I was going to go through chat.
Okay. So the last thing that I wanted to do was I saw one that says Emergo says Cardano ADA has characteristic of sound money and it's as finite as gold. I read the article and I want to disagree with that because I hope it's not as finite as gold, because the gold continuously is discovered right around. I don't think it's analogous, both situations. There's a circulating supply and a max supply for Cardano. The circulating supply and the max supply for gold is not yet determined. Recently, it's been determined that there's about 20 million tons of gold in the sea that is not accessible to human beings at the moment. But as technology improves, maybe that will be accessible to people. And that's around $770 trillion, or almost $1 quadrillion of gold that has yet to be mined and is in the depths of the oceans all around the world. So Cardano works differently to all the new users out there. There is a circulating supply, which is, 25, 31 billion. And there's a max supply, which is 45 billion. So in 10 years, you're not going to hear ADA, there's a new mine of ADA found at the bottom of the Mariana Trench. It's not going to happen. 45 billion it's the stop point. There's going to be no new ADA discovered on an asteroid, no new ADA ever created. It is a finite system. So it is not compared to gold. I would disagree profusely with that statement. And just people need to know that it's not going to trickle up. Of course, staking rewards are going to be released. And when staking rewards have been exhausted, transaction fees are going to be used to pay stakeholders and stake delegators. Money is going to circulate within the system. So, yes.
Yeah. And people can fork the code and make another blockchain. Yes. They can copy Cardano, but it's not the same because other people have to follow you. And if anyone forks the code anytime soon on Cardano, I'm not going to follow it. Personally, that's my take on it.
Yes.
It'd be like, nah, I'm going to stick with the Cardano blockchain. Thank you very much. I'm going to stick with the professors at IOHK.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
We've got a few comments in chat. If you guys have anything else, let us know in chat down below. We'll take a few moments to read through that.
Okay.
We got one from Rob Dog. Rob Dog says, like CryptoKitty collectibles, would Cardano make it possible to have collectible video clips or AVI or MPEG collectibles? The MPEG or the video would not actually be stored on the Cardano blockchain, but something that points to it might be. But that would be when Plutus comes out, and further down the line in the future when KEVM comes out. It'll be really interesting to see how that works, because yesterday I saw an announcement from Ethereum, and they launched an RPG on Ethereum. So hats off to you guys on Ethereum. You launched an RPG on there. That's friggin' awesome. I would love to see it interface with Cardano via KEVM in the future, or the developers who have those brilliant ideas Please visit Cardano when Plutus and KVM are out there. Make us some RPGs. I love collectibles. I have collectibles on Ethereum Classic. I bought a couple of dragons from one of the developers. They're unique. It's a unique token. There's only one. It's non-fungible. I bought 5 of them. I got 5 dragons. I'm an idiot. They don't even work. They're Generation 1 dragons. They have no function. It's just a picture. And it's just an entry on a blockchain. So take my money. Let's see. Anything else before we wrap up for the day? A lot of people are going to be sorry for not buying ADA at 4 cents. I agree on Andres Olimpio Teneo. Sorry if I get your name wrong. There's only 45 billion ADA at the max, better than gold. Yeah, 45 billion. I like that number too.
Yes.
It is a solid number on the Cardano blockchain.
And remember, besides price appreciation, gold can't, it can sit in your house and stuff like that, but it's not going to produce any staking rewards for you. It's just going to be shiny. So get involved with an active system of making money and create some forms of income. But this is the way of the future. And it's fine if you have gold bricks in your house. All more power to you, but blockchain is the future, and I think that cryptocurrency is going to outpace gold as it already has, and it will continue to do so.
Yeah, because crypto will do both functions. I can't buy a taco with gold.
No.
All right, so store value and exchange of money. So there's one in here from Jack's Crypto. In your opinion, how easy is it to run a staking pool? Up to this point, it's modestly difficult, where you have to understand the command line interface. You have to understand the basic infrastructure of a computer. So if you are a typical DevOps person, or you can install Linux on your computer and operate the basic command line, you can go to the IOHK GitHub page /Jormungandr Technics, and you would be able to install it, as long as you have a basic understanding of command line. Now, the key is to operate the stake pool. You're going to have to know how to move certificates and enter command line commands on the JCLI, the Jormungandr command line interface. I can't believe I can pronounce Jormungandr. Oh, God.
Jormungandr. Yeah, that's a.
I love that name because when you put it in the stake pool, when you make it, it's unique.
Yes.
It doesn't get confused with anything on my computer. It's a very unique name.
I would recommend for all those people that have dreams of opening up a stake pool, if you do not have the technical expertise, there's always delegating your stake. And there's nothing wrong with that. There really is nothing wrong with that. You're supporting the ecosystem, and that's how we're going to grow. And, unless you're a monster whale or you plan to market your staking pool heavily, chances are that you're going to probably be able to get higher gains delegating your stake to a staking pool. It's just what it is. So, and remember, I said it in previous episodes as well, delegate to third-party staking pools. Rick is going to be opening up a staking pool. I'll be opening up a staking pool. Do not delegate. I'm not hating on anyone, but don't delegate to IOHK, Emergo, and Cardano Foundation solely because if you want to, go ahead. Solely because they have enough ADA already, and we're trying to make this network as decentralized as possible. So, delegating to your local stake pool, think about it as supporting your local small business, but digitally. So let's move towards that. Their
pools might be saturated at launch.
Yes. Yes. I anticipate. Yeah.
I calculated the saturation. I came up with like 15 billion based off of my crummy math. 15 million might be the saturation point. I don't know.
Yeah.
Somewhere around there. And so they might be saturated at launch.
All I know is there's someone at IOHK who took the ICO funds and sold at the top. So there are some very smart people that are operating this. And there's don't for once think that they're not going to be some expert game master making sure that IOHK funds are parsed into as many wallets as possible and hit that saturation point to maximize their staking rewards. So they're probably going to have a ton of staking pools that are just completely full, and they're probably going to be private, or I don't know what they're going to do. But support your local small business staking pool. You know, it doesn't have to be me. It doesn't have to be Rick. There are plenty of people out there that are going to be advertising. Find someone who aligns with your values. Find someone who you want to support, and take that journey together. You know, and it will be fun.
Yeah. And a quick summary: Coca-Cola had a few comments about Ethereum Classic. Ethereum Classic and Cardano are two separate blockchains. Ethereum Classic is more like a store of value, where ADA would be a money or a currency. And Charles is no longer the face of Ethereum Classic. They were happy about that. I don't know the background on that. I know he used to be heavily involved with Ethereum Classic, but Ethereum Classic is super ultra decentralized. If you were to look at a community and look at the technology, I'd say they're one of the most decentralized products out there, more so than Ethereum.
Yes. Ethereum Classic is a great project. And just a quick plug, we had Alex Sankov on Digital Fortress, and I had the video on my channel as well. And we were talking about SHA-3. It's a lot of cool things are happening with Ethereum Classic. I think it's a great project.
Yeah, they got the Atlantis network coming out mid to late September. They switched to Atlantis. Charles is going to be speaking on that, I think September 20th. Don't quote me. Charles will be talking with the Ethereum Classic folks and a speaker for them. And there may be a transition to SHA-3 from the ETH hash algorithm, whereas SHA-3 is more of a certified, more robust, more efficient method for Ethereum Classic. The goal is for Ethereum Classic to be the dominant SHA-3 algorithm-based blockchain. If they achieve that, I expect it will perform well. Not financial advice. Okay, all set?
Yes.
Good. Thank you for the questions in the chat. We appreciate that. And the Reddit participation. It's very helpful. Huge shout out to our Reddit mods. Thank you again for making Reddit a wonderful place to post information and articles and links and have good conversations. I very much appreciate that. Philippe, that's all I have.
Okay, so thank you again for everyone for joining us on this Saturday afternoon, Saturday evening, Saturday morning, wherever you are. It might even be Sunday where you are, who knows. But thank you for joining us. We really appreciate you. This is our live weekly live stream where we cover all the recent news within the past week. Thank you for tuning into the chat. Thank you for engaging. There's been a lot of people in the chat. We really appreciate you. This is episode 45. Rick and I are working. We're inviting guests. We have some special surprises coming soon. We just can't announce them. And we are working to make sure that we bring in some more exciting guests. We have a lot of things planned in the future. So stay tuned and please subscribe to the Cardano Effect podcast. Once again, you have a beautiful day. Enjoy your week. Spend some time with family and friends, and we appreciate you. So until the next episode of the Cardano Effect. Bye, everyone.